Hello everyone, welcome back to another Natred review. Today we are going to be reviewing some pretty high level fighting between Warlord, Nip, and Brett. Usually I try to do these reviews as a way for me to offer something back, like offer some guidance or something like that. In this video, I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm definitely going to be watching this as kind of a learning experience for myself. I'm not nearly on par with these guys, so figured I was really interested in watching this. I may as well record it and see if there's any juicy tidbits in there for myself, maybe for you guys that we can pull out of here. So, I'm not familiar with Nip all that much. Brett is the only warlord that's had a class that I've been to, the local Amtgard kingdom. Won an event years ago, the prize being that Brett would come and do a class. I also really Brett's fakes, feints, and baits class was like a formative experience of me trying to find YouTube video to watch to get better. I feel like to this day I still draw a whole lot of from what I've learned there. This is Brett here on the left. Obviously, this is going to be Nip here on the right. Again, don't know anything about Nip. I think Brett has mostly transitioned over to steel combat, doing boo hurt. So let's see. Let's take a watch. This little fake here that Brett does, reaching across like that, just flipping across center line, kind of like flipping across your opponent's line of vision. This is something that I'm trying to work into my own fighting a bit more. I like throwing a lot of flat wraps to shield shoulders, and this is a pretty easy way to both open it up, like maybe they respect it a bit too, and they bring a bit too much, and they bring their shield over. And also, it kind of chambers you into that resetting motion to flat wrap really hard if you want. Also interested to see what Nip can do here, fighting with a little bit of a larger punch grip than what I've seen a lot of guys using. About the same size as mine, honestly. And so, I'm a big fan of punch grips. I think they are the way. I'm excited to see a higher level guy using one and see what I can steal from it. Lots of low fakes for the money or the reverse wrap. Again, one thing I've noticed from very high level fighters is there's a lot of respect that gets shown. People are generally really hesitant to be the first one to act. They don't want to. Neither of them wants to get caught reaching. Give me a little flutter under that Nip's been doing. Look like he does manage to pick up forearm here. Almost, this looks like it looks like Brett calls reset after this, so I'm assuming this forearm shot hit. But if we look at the flexion on it, Brett did get some shield on it. So even then, very close. Looks like he may have also come very close to picking up Nip's arm as well on the cross. Actually, maybe in top of body. No. One of the things that I've learned the most from doing these videos is that it's incredibly hard to call fights, even when you have the power of slow-mo and everything. And I've arbitrated for quite a long while as well. It's still very hard to call fights. Also, of course, highly recommend having a drink. I'm drinking on some whiskey and Coke myself. Look at kind of the murder mitten stare coming out of Brett here. It always interests me where fighters look. We can see straight into Brett's soul. Or really, he's fearing God. That two little black pits there. I've always interested in where fighters are choose to look when they fight. For me, like if I'm making eye contact with you like this, I'm usually looking a little bit below that. I'm usually looking at about center of mass sternum. Brett just looks like he's eyeballing Nip here. And it's a small thing, but when you get to fighting at these high levels, you know, there is some thought process that goes into, like, am I going to eyeball this guy super hard to try to get him to over focus on what I'm doing? Maybe I just think that way. I don't know. Brett kind of doing a little switch foot, going back and forth between left foot, right foot, forward stances. It's nice to see. You definitely want to work on both of those different tools in the toolbox. Very kind of classic, classic fake into shoulder shot we see here from Brett, but executed extremely well. So we have what Brett posts up with what looks like initially it might be a little hop into a high cross. See if we can catch it. This right here looks like almost like he's going to stop, stutter into a high cross. Comes back and around and picks up the shoulder. And this little like stutter jump here. Wow! I've seen fighters from, you know, not brand new, but new fighters to, you know, obviously here, very veteran fighters, throw many variations of this stutter into a jump to surprise your opponent with the level change. Brett pulls it off very, very well there. Still being very fluid in his footwork. Little things like that shot especially benefits from you being able to transition easily back and forth from left foot and right foot forward. A little bit of probing from Brett. I know from my little bit of personal experience, Brett has no problem transitioning to being very, very patient. Try to bait your opponents into trying to force things. Looks like Brett might be starting to bring his shield a little bit further across to his right side, exposing his shield shoulder. With those low strap rounds, though, it is so easy to shrug that thing back up. I wonder if this is bait. Big dive there from Brett. And I think a lot of guys who have studied the game for a while, a lot of guys that watch tape, they know that stuff like this is a pretty classic Brett maneuver. This dive in to throw for the money right here. This is pretty stereotypical Brett. I think normally I see him throw a lot further into this, but still, this nice crisp level change. Even when Brett weighed, God, he's lost a lot of weight, probably 100 pounds more than this. He would still throw this. He would do more of a forward lean than a full squat here, but absolutely just monumental level change. Yeah, I want that guy's orthopedic specialist, man. Doesn't pick it up. Not quite enough far enough in.
What is it? They said based on the test they did, or there wasn't enough evidence to. Yes. Here's the thing. So they were like,
yeah, and again, let's take this one down. Again, we see Brett kind of do the trademark, the money. Trademark Brett. And now, when I had a chance to spar Brett a little bit, I always seemed to headshot it when he would go to this. Maybe I was just throwing mine a little bit prematurely, like starting to high cross when he's doing this or something. Nip stays firm. Looks like he might eat a little bit of a thigh shot here. Soaks that shield. And Brett kind of gets stuck with his sword low trying to escape. That's really the story of this interaction. Brett throws this shot. Very keen. Keeps his shield nice and high. Soaks one. Soaks two. But Nip having that punch grip, normally you hear about it being bad to follow people's swords with your shield when you're fighting punch. In this situation specifically, with how low Brett's hand is, how low his sword is, a little bit of contact on the sword with the shield here from Nip is all that's needed to trap it for a little bit low. And Nip's able to rise up, stay nice and tall while Brett's coming back up. Brett has to square his feet to stand up completely. This squares his posture. Shield's out of position. Picks up the arm shot.
So for 2 years, in Buffalo, I go back and so, but the thing is, like, when in Buffalo, I was still able to run, still able to jog. It's all the very end, like, before surgery, because that was worse. So I couldn't jog. Yeah. So, like, but before then, like, I was running, I was jogging, like, I was squatting, I was still lifting heavy in the gym. I was able to basically do normal. And, like, like they did the thing like squat and walking squat.
Again, seeing a lot of respect here, a lot of probing. Oh, not there. I'm trying to see where Nip's shield arm got taken. You know, this is funny. It's one of the theoretical counters to dark sides that I've always heard people talk about. I don't know if Brett's throwing this as a response to the dark side or what, or if he's just trying to stand up real tall and hit that flat wrap. But I've always heard a lot, not always, but I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, when people try to dark side you a whole lot, just throw onside like hip shots, you know, because you're going to catch them while they're transitioning their shield under. No, they never really seem to do it, though. Brett manages to make it work, though. He throws not a hip wrap, but that shield side wrap. It pays off well for him picking shield. Looks like maybe tradesies. Shield arm. And then looks like crossovers in the body on both parties. Yeah. Let this roll for a sec here. Man, there's a lot of judging going on here. So even starting here with Brett wiggling the sword back and forth, this may be something I learned from Brett, but really depending on who your opponent is, like largely due to their skill level, but also just generally who they are individually, will dictate how much movement you got to throw to fake them. Brett here throwing some wiggle, no response, more wiggle, body movement, hopping up and down, trying to get some movement out of Nip, dropping his shield. All of this designed to make somebody throw into it. All of this is bait. We kind of see Nip here keeping his guard nice and high and tight, occasionally taking these little charging steps in. Looks like he's trying to get Brett to trigger and throw into whatever it is that he's trying to set up. Very clever. Brett eventually throws so much static. He kind of overloads the defenses of Nip here. And manages to come in and get this shot. And again, really, really fantastic amount of level change here. And it's not just the level change, it's the shocking percentage with which Brett, even now having lost a lot of weight, still being a bigger dude, survives in these situations. Even losing his grip to a degree on his sword, it looks like. Thumb coming off a little bit. Maybe might have lost forearm there, but even then maybe picks up the hand block. Very impressive. I think you could train a lot of people to throw that drop shot. However, it would be literally all in, like it works or they die at that point. I think that might be one of the ways you can counter it if Brett misses. So he kind of tries to throw this hopping flat wrap, maybe a little bit getting too over-eager. Cross attempt. I don't know if Brett expected Nip to aggressively close here or what, because he kind of drops straight into this. And there's not really a lot going on here. Even then, battling really hard, throwing around the back of the head. And Nip doesn't even try to intentionally knock him over. He's just interdicting Brett from getting back up. You know, these guys just having fun. Good honor, letting him stand.
Don't try to grab him. He'll beat you. He's got judo training.
Yeah, don't try to grab him. He'll beat you. You're living that bow hurt life now, bud. Oops. Wrong direction. Yeah, so this is the thing. This is the shot that I want to learn, or that I work on a whole lot. just really knowing your range, really understanding where fighters are in space, and then being able to drop into this shot right here. This looks like the shot that I know Brett for back from watching video of him when he was a heftier lad. There's still that little bit of a level change. We still have the shield getting tabled, going over the back to interdict incoming shots. And just perfectly, don't really even get a good frame of it here, perfectly coming in on that hip-thigh line, causing the kill. It's like there's a targeting computer that's always like checking to see if it's available, and every time it is, Brett will throw for it. Looks like Nip's pick up there. Simo call. Sword block. Yeah, looks like Nip whiffed that first high cross there. Second forced the Simo.
Brett just did. It wasn't like a. It was like. Front of leg.
Front of leg.
It wasn't like a.
This is the forbidden fruit for me. I suck at throwing sword side hip or shield side hip shots. Yeah. Very good. Got his shield moving, came in just below it. Even then, picking a leg for free is picking a leg for free. It's nothing to fucking sneeze at. And those really high up leg shots, sometimes they're ass shots.
You're good. I thought you were going the other way.
They wanted that run that? I think you hit my leg in there.
Yeah, it was a nasty one. The tree got some of that too. Good shit. Looks like Brett's shield has ended up again kind of out of whack there. Comes over to the left and then is not able to come back just because Nip's kind of in the way. And it's interesting. I haven't seen Nip do anything super hyper mobile with his shield, which I think is part of the reason why you fight with a punch grip, is you're able to do a lot of cheesy stuff with it. And then we see Brett over here, who actually has a ton of movement while being a low strap round, which I think is known to be one of the more mobile styles. The strapping is also really important. If you look at the strapping on Brett's shield, the back strap is really far forward on his forearm, so it's going to be a little bit more mobile than somebody who has like a strap at their elbow and the other strap in their hand.
I was sad because I got it inside your shield and stopped short of your body.
I didn't quite see it. Didn't get a good angle on it. Okay, into the leg. And I kind of want to throw what looks like some reading, or no, what looks like some reading being done by Nip here. Checks, sees that Brett kind of sets a little bit over much into the guarding that lane, like that. When he checks for like, I'm gonna money shot ya. Brett moves his shield and his sword. A little bit of an overcommitment. Checks it again. Brett does it again. And now we have something we're going to key off of. I figured he's going to go high to Brett's shield side shoulder. Some ranging being done here. Both of these fighters really trying to set the pace. This might be kind of hard to describe, but it looks like they're both really struggling to be the active person in this, the one that's setting the tempo. And I think that's why you keep seeing this kind of weird movements in and out, these like re-engagement, disengagement, re-engagement, disengagement.
I thought it was arm on the first one. My bad.
All black.
Yeah. Which again is not to say anything qualitatively about whether it's bad or good. Just sometimes you have fighters very much one is the active and one is the inactive fighter. Both these folks seem to be trying to battle to figure out who's going to be the one that sets the tempo. Off the shield. Thought it was arm on the first one. Looks like Brett maybe made a misunderstanding, thinking he got the shield arm first, but nope. Gets himself whacked in the process. And talking about the hypermobility of punch grips, you know, Nip may be a person who has some really sick, funny, like dark side stuff that he can do. He's just so solid in that he doesn't, like right there, like he's so solid in that he doesn't really pull it out unless he needs to in the moment. Like this stuff right here, I feel like is why most people fight with punch shields. So let's really break this interaction down in depth. Test for the money. Actually, more of a little reverse wrap there. Brett charges. Double tap under, picks up the leg or hip, it looks like. I can understand these guys don't want to take leg shots when they're just sparring. I would appreciate if they'd at least post a little bit. You know, I don't like the trend of just fully ignoring leg shots. Well, anybody can hit them. Well, not really. Not if you learn to fucking get out of the way. It's just a different game at that point. As a very fat guy with bad knees, I wish leg shots weren't a thing. If we want to play that game, we can. I'd prefer it. Got the leg. At least admitting defeat there on the leg shot.
There's a left-hand sword and a right-hand sword.
They should be about the same, but this one's just a little bit heavier.
Yep, there's that shot again. Just again, constantly calculating, is it there? Is he in the right spot? Is his shield in the right spot? It is. Throw like, you know, preload fake 36-alpha Mark 1. Just a little bit of upward movement. Looks like he really brings his hand across. Comes back. I don't want to take a look at this game over here. Hand comes forward. Breaks across for a second, comes back, and really is like throwing, almost like he's going to come down and grab the guy's crotch, but instead rolls over, throws in. Yep, classic Brett shot. More knee flexion than I'm used to seeing still, as noted before. It be what it be. He probably feels fantastically mobile nowadays, having lost a bunch of weight. And in the situations where he's not fighting in full armor, I bet his mobility feels off the charts. Picks the sword arm with the stab. Yep. You let him get a little bit too far to your right. Nip going for the pickup. Let's see how serious he takes this. This is a fun little mini game. Yeah, nothing. I've gotten to the point now where about 10% of the time I can force a trade when I'm down an arm and my opponent has a shield, and that's leagues better than where it used to be 0%. Warlord's high crossing. Dogs and cats sleeping together. It's the end of days. Not quite landing there cleanly enough on Brett, it would appear. It kind of identifies here that Brett's been Nip kind of identifies here that Brett's been throwing cross a whole lot. And it might kind of mentally chamber him to be a bit more ready to throw dark or throw money. All the terminology is stupid. Throw for that inside shield shot. And the cover is doing some moving for Nip on his shield. Thigh pick. Natch. Yeah, got that booty. Looks like maybe into the leg of Nip. And yeah, very mobile shield again out of Brett. You know, the bones of what Brett is doing look even better than the last bit of tape that I've seen on him. I haven't seen much of him, God, in the past few years, just because he's been doing the full steel stuff. But the bones of what he's doing, the game plan, it looks like unchanged and better. But the little minute mechanics, the shot placement, the super fine motor control stuff, that the little bit moving the shield too much, it feels like there's probably a little bit of rust there. A little bit of rust there because, you know, being an Amp Guard Warlord is no longer the only fighting he's doing, or the vast majority of the fight that he's doing. High cross charge. Tries to throw as he's diving into money. Looks like he might just go to thigh. Nip goes to shield. Comes over, goes to arm.
No, you got it.
I thought it dropped too low. It was wide open. I was going to yell myself so hard. Good take.
Looks like maybe Brett called himself there dead out of frustration. I'm not sure. Anyways, that's all I got for you this time around, guys. This was from Morph C's channel. As far as film fighting channels go, pretty large here. I can't remember this guy's name exactly, but he's prominent in the community. Go check out their channel, subscribe to it. Check out their videos. That's all I got for you, and I will see you guys next time.